Jey Uso joins the Vision. Cody Rhodes returns. WWE exposed John Cena before his match with Brock Lesnar. John Cena shocks Rey Mysterio. Triple H under fire for ruining WWE. Becky Lynch slammed for ruining a major moment on TV. WWE makes a massive Bron Breakker mistake. After AJ Lee, Triple H wants another former Diva back. Triple H wants AJ Styles out of WWE. Let's dive right in. Cody Rhodes returns. The next Smackdown episode ramps up the action leading into WrestlePalooza. Everyone's fired up for this blue brand show, especially since Brock Lesnar is locked in to show up. Expect plenty of surprises and drama on Friday Night Smackdown. Here are 5 wild things that could go down. Number 1, Cody Rhodes might return after Randy Orton turns heel on SmackDown. Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre are gearing up for a brutal clash on the next SmackDown. The Legend Killer jumped the Scottish Warrior a few weeks back when Drew was trash-talking Cody Rhodes. Triple H just confirmed the American Nightmare will hit WrestlePalooza. So, Rhodes could make a shock entrance on Friday Night SmackDown right after the Apex Predator flips to villain mode post-match against McIntyre. Cody might rush in to halt a Savage Orton, igniting bad blood between them and paving the way for a heated rivalry. Number 2, Brock Lesnar could destroy Sami Zayn once again. WWE has teased that Brock Lesnar will storm the next SmackDown. Last week, the Beast wrecked John Cena and Sami Zayn by crashing their United States Championship fight. With the franchise player off the blue brand roster, odds are high Lesnar targets Zayn solo this time. That chaos could build hype for a monster matchup between Brock and Sami down the road. Number 3, Bianca Belair could return to cause Jade Cargill against Tiffany Stratton. Tiffany Stratton and Jade Cargill are locked in for a WWE Women's Championship showdown on SmackDown. WWE likely has a big curveball ready, like Bianca Belair bursting back and sabotaging Cargill's shot at the gold. The EST hasn't graced WWE TV in ages. Her return as a bad guy, costing Jade the match, would be a perfect explosive way to relaunch her in the sports entertainment world. Number 4, the Street Profits could break up. Lately, WWE has sprinkled clues about the Street Profits falling apart. Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford look totally out of sync, hinting their team might crumble any day. On the next Blue Brand episode, they could finally implode when one ditches the other mid-action, sealing their split as partners. From there, Montez Ford could launch his solo career with a bang. Number 5, Jacob Fatu could turn heel and get back with MFT on WWE SmackDown. Jacob Fatu's lost his United States Championship shine, and his solo push on SmackDown feels like it's tanking fast. His spotlight's dimming quick. To flip the script, he could go full villain again, linking up with Solo Sikoa's MFT. The Samoan Werewolf's Dark Switch would recast him as a beast once more, and slotting him into My Family Tree could supercharge the group back to powerhouse status. We exposed John Cena before his match with Brock Lesnar. Inside sources raised concerns about John Cena's odds against Brock Lesnar at WrestlePalooza. The two titans will face off later this month, following Lesnar's shocking return at SummerSlam, where he planted Cena with an F5. The Beast struck again on last week's SmackDown, interrupting Cena's United States Championship match against Sami Zayn. Sami had issued an open challenge to honor the wrestling icon, but Lesnar derailed it, yanking the referee out and delivering brutal F5s to both Zayn and Cena, ending the match in a no contest. On Legion of Raw, inside sources pointed out that Cena struggled against Zayn during their bout. They argued that Cena looked outmatched by the United States champion, exposing weaknesses at this stage in his career. According to the veteran, this makes it hard for fans to believe Cena can take on a powerhouse like Lesnar. They criticized Triple H's creative team for not thinking through the build-up carefully. Bro, on SmackDown, John Cena went 50-50 with Sami Zayn, and now we're supposed to believe Cena can beat Brock Lesnar? This is what I'm talking about, bro. There is no thought put into this, inside sources said. After the vicious attack, Brock Lesnar confronted Cena backstage, challenging the 17-time world champion to a showdown at WrestlePalooza before storming off. Cena, despite nearing the end of his in-ring career, vowed he'd never back down from a fight. It'll be a must-see moment to watch how the franchise player holds up against Lesnar on September 20th. John Cena shocks Rey Mysterio. John Cena's final WWE run is winding down, set to end in a few months, but he left wrestling legend Rey Mysterio reeling with his shocking actions. Cena stunned the wrestling world when he turned heel, betraying Cody Rhodes and joining forces with The Rock before WrestleMania 41. Though the final boss vanished after Elimination Chamber in Toronto, Cena kept up the villain act for months before reverting to his classic self, just 2 days before facing Rhodes again at SummerSlam 2025. On Raw Recap, Rey Mysterio opened up about Cena's final run in WWE and his jaw-dropping heel turn against Rhodes in Toronto. The WWE icon admitted that Cena's betrayal hit him hard and caught him completely off guard. I'll tell you what, the day I saw John Cena turn on Cody Rhodes, I was sick to my stomach. I couldn't believe it. But again, I didn't see it coming. So, I had 50-50 partial feelings on what was going on because if I didn't see it coming, that means it was done very well, Mysterio said. Cena's time on Smackdown wrapped up this week in Chicago. He faced Sami Zayn in the show's opening match, answering Zayn's United States Open challenge for the title. The bout ended in a draw when Brock Lesnar stormed in, yanked out the referee, and unleashed chaos. The Beast hit Zayn with an F5 and dropped Cena with 2 more before leaving. As he exited, Lesnar told Cena he'd see him at WrestlePalooza in Indiana. That marked Cena's final Smackdown appearance, as he's no longer scheduled for the blue brand. His remaining matches will be on Raw and Premium Live events, leading to his last bout in December at Saturday night's main event. Triple H under fire for ruining WWE. Inside sources have unleashed a scathing attack on Triple H for his booking choices as WWE's chief content officer. They claim his creative decisions are messy and lack clear direction. Since Vince McMahon stepped back earlier this decade, Triple H has led the main roster's creative team, delivering big returns like Nikki Bella, Brock Lesnar, and AJ Lee. He's also built stars like LA Knight, Logan Paul, and Jey Uso. But on the latest Legion of Raw, inside sources tore into Triple H, saying he lacks any creative spark. They argued that many segments make no sense, pointing to a recent Smackdown moment where Becky Lynch shared the ring with CM Punk while her husband, Seth Rollins, stood by and watched. They insisted no husband would let his wife face another man in such a tense showdown. I think Triple H is starting to understand. I think he's reading a lot of my tweets, and I think they're really starting to get to him. I think he's really starting to understand that he doesn't have a creative bone in his body, and he's trying to compensate for that. The problem is, bro, you gotta start with logic. Things have to be logical, inside sources said. They went on, "What you're doing is illogical. You watched on Smackdown. Becky Lynch is in the ring with CM Punk and her husband is gonna be watching. What husband would do that? What husband would leave their wife? This is what I'm talking about, bro. When you're so ingrained in that bubble, you lose all sense of logic." Becky Lynch slammed for ruining a major moment on TV. Inside sources recently ripped into Becky Lynch for her reaction to AJ Lee's WWE comeback. The former Divas champion made her return last week on SmackDown. During Friday's show, Lynch slapped CM Punk and tried to throw shade at him again. But Punk was ready this time, and his wife, AJ Lee, stormed back after 10 years, charging straight at the man. The crowd went wild, but Lynch looked stunned. On the latest Legion of Raw, inside sources said Lynch's over-the-top reaction ruined the moment. They pointed out that when Punk teased calling in backup, Lynch brushed off names like Rhea Ripley and Bayley, claiming she'd already beaten them. Yet when AJ Lee appeared, Lynch acted terrified, which didn't make sense for a women's Intercontinental champion facing someone who hasn't wrestled in a decade. On SmackDown, she cuts a promo on CM Punk, and she says to CM Punk, "Who are you gonna get? Rhea Ripley? I already beat Rhea Ripley. I'm not afraid of Rhea Ripley. Who are you gonna get? Bayley? I already beat Bayley. I'm not afraid of Bayley." So she's not afraid of anybody, right? So then, here comes a 38-year-old woman who hasn't wrestled in 10 years skipping down to the ring. And you would think, with Becky Lynch's facials, you would think that a mass murderer was walking down that lane. The overselling of being scared of somebody that hasn't wrestled in 10 years, who is 38 years old and weighs about 90 pounds soaking wet. Now, Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins are set to take on AJ Lee and CM Punk in a mixed tag team match at WrestlePalooza. WWE made the match official on this week's Raw. WWE makes a massive Bron Breakker mistake. Last night on Raw, Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed took center stage in the main event after WWE announced they'll face the Usos at WrestlePalooza, just under 2 weeks away. But when the social media team shared the big news online, they slapped a new name on Breakker, calling him Breakker. WWE's no stranger to social media slip-ups, often posting fast and fixing errors later. Yet, over 14 hours after the official graphic for the Usos versus Breakker and Reed went up, the misspelling still stands. It's unclear if WWE missed the mistake or chose to ignore it. Even Reed reposted the graphic to take a shot at the Usos, but didn't catch his partner's name being wrong. The past few months have been wild for Breakker and Reed. Back at WrestleMania, they weren't even on the same wavelength. Reed was out with an injury, while Breakker teamed up with Paul Heyman and Seth Rollins on the Raw after Mania. Reed joined them weeks later, and the two have since bonded over their hatred for the Bloodline, while Rollins deals with his CM Punk drama. Though they've only been a team for a short time, Breakker and Reed have become a powerhouse duo on Raw. Still, they face a massive challenge in Indianapolis against the Usos, a legendary team with a rich history. After AJ Lee, Triple H wants another former diva back. WWE delivered a jaw-dropping moment last week when AJ Lee stormed back to the ring after a decade away. The Black Widow's return on SmackDown sent the crowd into a wild uproar. Now, inside sources claim that Triple H, WWE's chief content officer, is gearing up to bring back another former diva soon. The star in question is Paige, AJ Lee's old rival-turned-friend. On Sportskeeda Wrestling's Legion of Raw, inside sources were asked if Paige would be next to return. They declared that the Glampire is Triple H's next big surprise, ready to light up the WWE universe. I was thinking about that, bro. I swear to God. As soon as she's done with this, that is the next big pop Triple H has in his back pocket. I wonder if Triple H has a separate bank account account that's like just pop money. We're gonna put this away for pop money. Chris Featherstone, without a shadow of a doubt, that's coming, inside sources said. Paige and AJ Lee were pillars of the women's division in the mid-2000s, laying the groundwork for the women's revolution. The anti-diva had to retire from wrestling in 2017 after a neck injury and stayed with WWE in non-wrestling roles until 2022. After leaving, Paige, now using her real name Saraya, joined All Elite Wrestling, got cleared to wrestle again, and even won the AEW Women's World Championship once. She parted ways with the Tony Khan-led company earlier this year and seems free to return to WWE whenever she's ready. Triple H wants AJ Styles out of WWE? Just before battling El Grande Americano on last night's Raw, AJ Styles dropped a bombshell during a commercial break promo in Milwaukee. He hinted at someone backstage wanting him gone from WWE. The Phenomenal One mentioned Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, saying he no longer has them as backup, suggesting it's a calculated move to keep him from winning big matches. The strange moment felt like it's building to something huge, especially as Styles nears the end of his wrestling career. The big question from Styles' promo: who's trying to force him out? First, it might sound surprising, but The Rock could be involved. In an interview with Sports Illustrated just days after last year's WrestleMania, when The Rock was a hot topic, Styles expressed interest in a feud with him, but only if the final boss turned good guy. I'm interested, but only if that means The Rock is turning babyface. I'm not interested in being a mediocre bad guy. I want to bring this to a whole new level, he said. Back then, Styles was a heel, fresh off an epic match with Cody Rhodes at Backlash in Lyon. Now a fan favorite again, Styles faces a still-hated Rock, who hasn't appeared on WWE TV since John Cena's heel turn at Elimination Chamber. With The Rock not officially retired and expected to play a role at WrestlePalooza, WWE's ESPN debut, a clash with Styles or a mini-feud through a proxy could feel fresh, especially since The Rock should steer clear of Cena, Rhodes, or Roman Reigns for now. Next up is Triple H, who's been calling the shots for over 3 years. Fans have grumbled about how he's handled AJ Styles. In 2022, Triple H brought back Gallows and Anderson after their time in AEW, NJPW, and Impact, only for them to be barely used and released again this year. A storyline where Triple H stacks the deck against Styles could be gripping, casting him as an underdog fighting the system, specifically the game. It makes sense, as Triple H has the final say on creative. This could turn Styles into an anti-authority rebel taking on the boss. Finally, Paul Heyman, a major backstage player, could be the one gunning for Styles. In 2019, as Raw's executive director, Heyman kept Styles in the United States Championship scene while Gallows and Anderson were sidelined as nobodies. When the Good Brothers were let go during the pandemic budget cuts, Styles called Heyman a bold-faced liar for claiming he'd have fought for them if he'd known about their release. Styles was convinced Heyman was behind their exit, despite his denials. With Styles' retirement looming, WWE could spin a story where Heyman wants the Phenomenal One out fast. This might spark a feud with Seth Rollins and The Vision, maybe even bringing back Gallows and Anderson for a short stint. Whether Styles beats Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship for one last epic run, or gets retired by the Visionary, this storyline could be a thrilling ride. To be clear, Styles and Heyman have said they've squashed any real-life bad blood. Jey Uso joins the Vision. Jey Uso lights up WWE as one of its most thrilling stars and top merchandise movers, but his recent shift toward a darker persona could spell trouble, according to wrestling veteran Bill Apter. Lately, Jey's been flirting with the villain role, especially after attacking LA Knight, cementing his heel turn. While this twist shakes things up, Apter thinks it's a risky move. On this week's Unscripted, he rated Jey's popularity as medium, noting his mixed character signals. Well, his entrance is hot, mixed up in character right now, so I am gonna go medium. Medium hot, because he is kind of a tween right now. They are teasing him possibly turning heel, which I think is a grave mistake. Doing that, his merchandise might go right into the toilet at that point. So I would give him a medium hot at this point, Apter said. Inside sources are okay with Jey turning heel, but criticized how it kicked off. On Legion of Raw, they called Jey's sudden attack on LA Knight sloppy and nonsensical. We've got absolutely no angles, nothing on this show. We need to do something. So we're gonna create an angle between LA Knight and Jey Uso. I have no problem with that, but can it at least be logical? Nobody is gonna spear somebody after that. Somebody saved their backside. That is not gonna happen, especially when you've been shoving Jey Uso down our throat for God knows how long. Now, out of the clear blue sky, Jey is saved, and he's gonna spear LA Knight, inside sources said. If Jey goes full heel on Raw, he could team up with Seth Rollins and join the Vision faction. The Usos are set to face Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed at WrestlePalooza. If they lose and Jey betrays Jimmy, the Yeet Master might align with the Vision, solidifying his villain status and boosting the group's power. A betrayal of Jimmy could spark a feud with Roman Reigns, who, despite his tribal chief run, never betrayed family. Others turned on him for his attitude. If Jey stabs Jimmy in the back, Roman might back his brother, setting up a clash with the former world champion. This OG Bloodline showdown promises to be a wild ride.